Hello, good morning. Today is a very exciting day for me. I have been thinking about this since the very first techo kaigi that I filmed, but today I am talking about my planner lineup for 2025. This is very exciting for me for several reasons because I actually used up quite a lot of journals in 2024 this year. So it's kind of the first year in 2025 where I get to use so many new planners. I don't really remember what I said in the 2024 techo kaigi, but I don't think my system has actually changed all that much. The concepts are really similar. The journals have just changed. Of course, there were a few changes here and there, some things that I didn't expect to be using, but all in all, I'm pretty happy to report that everything is pretty much the same. There's only a few changes, like a small tweaks, but almost everything else has been quite stable and consistent. And I love having the marker of a year to be able to reflect upon what worked and what didn't work. So something I'm doing different in this video compared to last year is that I'm not going to go over my 2024 journals because it is going to take way too long. So what I'm going to do is go over that in a separate video if you're interested, but I will still make references to it and show you some 2024 journals because I need to explain it in order to show you 2025 stuff. So I'll still have some hints of it here and there, but if you wanted more of an explanation of like how I use my 2024 journals and what I used up, I will be doing that as a separate video, but this is everything that I will be using in 2025. I'm really enjoying this color scheme. This is, I think, the first year that it has been this neutral, which is extremely exciting for me. So this is kind of in order of how I'm going to cover this. So I'm going to move this all off to the side. There are 10 journals, but I know it seems excessive, but hopefully once I go into it, it does make a little bit more sense, but I'm going to move this over. Okay, so the first journal planner that I'm going to talk about is my 2025 daily monthly planner. And prior to this, I still am using my Moleskine, which of course I just stacked under all of those journals, my Moleskine Pocket Daily. And this has served me so well. I've had no issues with this. Honestly, it's been so good to just have a place to, like, lots of space to write down your daily to-dos. And some days are much less than others, but all in all, it's just been such a workhorse and I wanted something similar. So I think in the past, I would put a lot of pressure on the 2025 planning journal. What am I saying? It's just the planner. I would put a lot of pressure on it because it's the one I would use the most. But from experience now, I found that the one planner that I write all my tasks in just has to be bare minimum, super easy, nothing too crazy to keep up with because I use it every single day. I don't need to be creative in my planner. I just need it to keep me on track with my tasks. And so this little thing has served me so well. And honestly, if I didn't find anything else, I would have been happy to get another one. I am only kind of moving away from a day per page because it's just so chunky and I would like something a little bit more streamlined like this. But the size is great. I thought the size would make it really easy to make it portable and bring it around, but honestly, I didn't really need to. I didn't really need to bring it around. I did sometimes, but as you can see, it has gone through a beating. Let me focus on that. Again, it's the workhorse. I am not precious with this planner. You can see kind of here, that's where I've got the new pages left, so only just over a month left in this planner. Again, I won't go into this too much, but just so you know, I'm moving from the Pocket Moleskine Daily to a kind of weekly view. And I'm not a big weekly person, but let me explain. So initially, I thought, I was set on getting the Take a Note A6 planner. I did have some concerns of whether or not the A6 would be big enough. Again, saying that, and I was using this tiny thing, but it wasn't a day per page, it's 2 days per page, which is an excellent week overview. And I was willing to try what is this? Willing to try, it's like sticky residue, something different. By the way, you can probably see my microphone red light in the reflection, but this is a planner that I picked up from Japan from my recent trip. It is a B6 size, which is such a nice little size, and it's actually just a plain book, but I bought a clear cover for it. This is a Hands exclusive planner, so it's exclusive to the Hands stationery store. This was about $15 Australian, super cheap. And again, I had my eyes set on the Taker note, but I'm a person that likes having the convenience of things right in front of me and buying it, and I don't have to pay for shipping. I don't have to wait for it to arrive. And it was similar enough to the Taker note layout, which you will see in a second, that I was convinced. I wasn't going to easily jump ship, but I knew in the back of my mind, if I found a planner in Japan that was similar enough, I would try that out. So yeah, this is what I got. The stickers are just what I stuck on myself, but you can see the tabs on the side. So it starts from December of this year and it goes up to March. I don't really love the fact that it goes all the way up until March. Like, I wouldn't mind January maybe, but I really don't need to be using this until March. So that's really one of my only issues with this planner, which is so minor. But it starts with a generic kind of year calendar, and then it has, I don't know really what to do with these pages, but just a year plan, I figured, which is kind of nice to have it in there. And then just monthly events. And then this layout is interesting. And what I did in the Moleskine was use it to track when I posted on Instagram, but I used it in the tiny calendar view. So I think I will do pretty much the same thing, even though it's a different layout. And I will just put like an Instagram or a YouTube sticker to denote when I've actually posted on that day. The dots here are also workout dots, so I might, I'll figure out some sort of system there. But I really liked this, even though I stopped kind of updating it towards the end of the year because it got so busy. I do like being able to look back, and I tracked my stats down here, but I don't think that is necessary because I already have that information in Notion, so it was always quite redundant. But that's how I'm planning to use this. And then we pretty much just get into, it goes until 2026 March. It actually goes until May 2026. I guess they wanted to fill up the pages. But this is what the month spread looks like. So I've actually already drafted, if you can see in pencil, and I stuck down a sticker of how I want to use it. So I drew lines across because I wanted to separate the weeks. And on this side is where I will plan my social media content, primarily just YouTube and Instagram, because I don't really have a place to plan this right now, and I really like the width of it because it just gives me so much room to write on it. And at the very bottom, I've split the section down here into, oh yeah, I forgot I did this, Instagram, like social media stats, hence why I don't need it in that other view, and also just month priorities. So I just have room for 3 because if I have too much space, I'll just keep writing, but really I should be choosing 3 main priorities for the month. And then what I'm thinking, I don't actually have too many personal events. So for me, like the month view is primarily just Patreon content, and any sort of like deadlines, like shop updates and things like that. So it's mostly business, which makes sense for me because this is my planner for tasks. It'll be personal and business combined. Again, I don't have that much personal stuff, and when it is, it's just like clean the house really. So this is my all-in-one task planner, but for the month view it'll be primarily business Patreon tasks, which is going to be very similar to what I use on my wall calendar. And I don't think I mind that duplication, that repetition, because the wall calendar is really good for glancing up, but it's not necessarily good for tweaking during the month or like adding edits. So the month calendar on my wall is just kind of the pre-plan, and I think it just will be really easy to refer to this when I'm out and about. Not that I ever need to, but if I do want to bring this with me, I've got the month view. So that's how I'm planning to use that. Very simple. No plans for the top, but I think that's okay. And then we go into the week view, and this is what the week view looks like. I'll show you a blank one first. So this is what it looks like. I don't love the green accent color, but that's okay. It's mild enough that it's not offensive to my eyes, but the rest of it is great. It's cream paper, it's a grid, I believe it's 4 mils, and I like, because the taker note was like this, it was 2 days to a page, but I always was kind of like thinking that it would be too long. Like, I don't have that much to write, like really I only need half a page for most days, and so by attaching why am I so terrible at explaining this? By splitting the page into half, in half, and adding the rest of the week there, it kind of solved my problem in that sense. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want. But I love that there is room at the top for either priority or for me to track, which is what I drafted up here, for me to track a video that I post so I can see at a glance what content I'm planning to post that day. Temperature, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe temperature. And I like that there's a little week section as well. So I can write top priorities for the week, which is not what I had like available to me for the Moleskine pocket planner. So that's kind of the main thing that I was missing from the daily view. I'm not much of a week planner. I like having space to write the day, but also be able to see the week at a glance. There just needs to be enough space in the week. Yeah, I really like this layout. I love the size of it, B6. The grid is really nice. And so this starts in December, like next month, like literally next week. But there was space for the last week of November because the 1st of December is on a Sunday. And so I just drafted up and I've already stamped in the dates for it. So I will be in here I'm recording this on a Friday. I will be in here from the Monday onwards, which is really exciting because I get to start a new planner, but I will still be using my Moleskine kind of as a double up for the month. But it's not bad because I get to test out this planner before 2025. And so I get to just give myself permission to just keep experimenting for the month without, there's nothing stopping me from doing that when the year starts. It's just a nice little kind of warm up into the new year without any pressure. So in pencil, I just kind of drafted up some test tasks and just seeing how it looks, how I feel about it. I'm not going to use any stickers in here, I don't think, apart from the month view. Again, I don't want to be precious with this because this is meant to be my workhorse. I really need to just scribble things down in here to get things done. And I don't want to be afraid about crossing things out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I really like the tabs. It makes it really easy to flip over. I love that it's month and then the weeks. It's not just months all in the beginning. And then at the end of the planner, I don't believe there's anything too much. There's the Japan, I think this is Tokyo train station map. But yeah, it's just one notes page, which is fine. Memory note, I don't think I'll use that for anything, but that's it. Not too much nonsense kind of filler pages. And there is an age chart, which is a little terrifying. But that's about it. Super simple. This case has a pen loop as well. I think my jaw is doing this like clicky sound, so I'm really sorry if you can hear that and you're wondering what that is. But I don't know, my nose or my jaw does this weird clicking sound sometimes. You don't need to know that, but that is my B6 daily monthly planner from Hands in Japan. Again, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, but I like the size, I like how thin it is, and I think it'll be a really good replacement for the Moleskine, and it gives me a much better overview of my month and my week. So I'm really excited to be in this from next week. The next journal, again, nothing new, is my morning pages. So morning pages is such a constant for me. It's such a good way to use up old notebooks. So morning pages has been a lifesaver in that sense as well. It's helped me get through a lot of my notebook stash. And I haven't really bought a notebook for morning pages because I've been using up old notebooks. So this is very exciting for me because this is the first time that I've actually bought something intentionally to use for morning pages and am able to use it. So this is a Muji planner. It's not quite B6. So it's like slightly bigger than B6 if you can tell, but only just barely. So it's 192 mils, no, 195 by 137 mils. It's 184 pages, which should last around 3 to 4 months, which is perfect. Initially, I thought that it would be great to have a morning pages journal that would last me the entire year so that when I'm archiving, it's just 1 year. But from using it, it's just a simple thrill to be able to use up a journal and start a new one. It's just a very simple way to get, also it would be way too many pages. Again, this is going to be 4 months worth. Can you imagine writing in a journal that would last the entire year? But using a journal like quarterly is a bit much. If this lasts 4 months, which I think it will, that'll be great because then I will only have 3 morning pages for the year, which is okay. 2 would be ideal, but 3 is okay. It's completely blank on the inside, but it's cream pages. The reason why I like this so much is because of how cheap it is. I love the size, but it's so cheap. So this was $4.50. And for me, morning pages is not something, again, I want to be precious about because I am just writing gibberish. I'm using it to clear my mind. I do my morning pages pretty much every single morning except for most weekends. But in the mornings before I get started on work, I write 2 pages. Regardless of the size, I just write 2 pages and I just get all my thoughts out. I check in with myself, I check in with my body, and I kind of process like yesterday's feelings and how I'm feeling right now. And it's been amazing. Like, I know it's not for everyone. For me, morning pages has been crucial and incredibly important to my creative practice, but also as a form of self-care. I think it's just a lovely way to check in with yourself if you do have the time. It takes me about half an hour to write 2 pages, so I do understand that is a pretty big amount of time for some people, especially if you don't work from home or you don't work for yourself. You could write 1 page, you could do it at night, you could do it, I don't know, it's up to you if you really wanted to do it, but for me, it's been really, really helpful. And I feel like when I don't do morning pages, I feel very frazzled and I just haven't processed my thoughts properly. So I feel a bit more on edge, like a bit more emotionally unstable. But that's all I have to say about this. This is the Muji morning pages journal. Very excited to be in this. I love how cheap it is. I love how aesthetic and plain it is. I can put a sticker on here, which I probably will. But that's it. Totally unfussy. That's why I love Muji. Just so simple, not fancy at all, just does the job. So that is my morning pages journal. That is still absolutely continuing in 2025. The next thing is my daily log and life archives. So this is a Stalogy B6. It's the 365 days planner, so it's meant to last the entire year, but I think I will be using 2 in the year. I have another one that I bought from Japan, but previously, I have to show you this because I need to explain. I was using this big A5 hard case, I don't like hard case, notebook that I bought in 2019. It is a dated planner. It just so happened that the dates lined up perfectly with 2024, and so I used it as a dated daily log. And so I've been using it since March, I believe, 9th of March. And almost every single day, except for super busy, stressful days, and when I'm traveling, of course, I have logged a daily entry. It's a lot. And this is when I was traveling, August, I was in Bali. Yeah, it's been a lot, and it's been amazing to see these pages fill up. This is November, this is the current month, and this is today. I have a sticker ready to stick down, and it's evolved over the past few months, but I'm surprised how much I have been enjoying this and have wanted to keep up with this. So again, this is not too precious either. I really just write what happens in my day, and what happens in my day is not that special. Slow mornings, tired and lazy, and then I pack 2 orders. So it's a bit of business, it's a bit of coffee and donuts, it's a bit of nothing really, like some really special memories and some really, really simple memories. And for me, the most incredible part was finally being able to track my days, being able to record my days and my memory, because I think, like most people that do daily logs or journal, we have a memory problem. I am sweating. Let me take off my jumper. We have a memory problem, and a lot of us turn to journaling because we're afraid of forgetting things. And so the daily log has been so incredible. Not only, look, there's multiple reasons. When I need to backlog or flip to a page to flip to a certain date to figure out what happened on that day, the information is contained within the daily log. So for that, it's been amazing. Like, I have no more lost days when I do remember to daily log. There was like a few days when I wasn't traveling and I didn't write anything. And it's just kind of shocking how completely gone the memory is, especially if I didn't take any photos. The memory is just completely gone. And so being able to go back and like have this level of detail on the day is just incredible, no matter how mundane the memory is. Here I'm writing about like a tracking number for an order that I'm excited to receive. And like, it's pointless. But the other benefit of the daily log for me that I found was that it's just such a lovely way to experience self-care, to take care of yourself, because I think also a lot of people relate to this, but I really enjoy writing, the act of writing and decorating. And so being able to have a space that you can come back to throughout the day to write, to log things down is just so lovely. It's just a really, like, if nothing else, it's just a lovely act of self-care if that's something that you do enjoy, especially just sticking stickers down. But also, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I've forgotten what I was going to say, but I also track, like, when I edit videos, what I'm reading, what I worked on that day, what movie or episode I watched, so that's there. And I also put it in this month view, which I will talk about soon because there is a separate journal for that. Unfortunately, that's going to be the very last thing I talk about. Oh yeah, I remember now. So I am a ruminator, and I'm sure a lot of you relate to this, but if I don't get my thoughts out on paper, like write it out, I keep it in my brain and I just keep going over it and over it. And because I have terrible memory, I become more obsessed with holding on to that thought. And so I'm always swinging between like overthinking, but then afraid I'm going to forget. And it's just this cycle. And so that's why morning pages is really good for me as well, because by writing it out, I feel like my body gets to like physically unclench and release all this tension because I've written it down. I know I'm not going to forget it. Same thing with the daily log. So really, daily log is just an extension of my morning pages, but it's just the prettier front-facing side. And it's still kind of gibberish in a way, but I'm still logging what happens in the day. Again, it's not, I don't leave my house. I really don't leave my house most of the days. And so I know you might be thinking like, oh, but I have nothing to log because my days aren't that interesting. But you have thoughts, you have things that you see, there's music that you listen to that you love that make you feel a certain way, you ate something that made you feel a certain way, those tiny little moments. And that's why I think it's an act of self-care, because I think it helps attune you to notice these things a little bit more, the little moments, because you're writing them down, and the more you write them down, the more you start to notice these little things that you want to write down in your planner. And so I even wrote down, I feel like I lost time yesterday. I'm not sure how the day passed so quickly. Me just complaining that my ink hasn't shipped yet. Just really not important thoughts at all. I washed the socks and I was listening to a podcast episode. They're not special moments to anyone else except for me. And I think that's what makes it even more special. So this is what I was using for the daily log, which I didn't like because it was too big and too thick. And this was the kind of main journal. That's all that I have left. That's so exciting. This journal was the main reason that I realized, okay, I don't want to be using the same planner for the entire year, apart from my 2025 planner, because I get so bored and I need the variety within reason. So I am the most excited to move into this. This is the most exciting thing because I have waited so long to use this up, and there's only a month left, but I'm moving from this giant thing to this little stellage. And something else I'm doing differently is I actually had a separate life archives journal. So I was using a random notebook before, and then I moved into the Midori because I couldn't use the Midori for like daily. It wasn't working for me. This was before this was my initial attempt at daily logging. I just didn't like, I think the short form nature of it. I think I'm naturally a rambler, so I need more space to just, like, it's the same information, but the act of writing is so therapeutic to me that I needed to just ramble a bit more. So this is what I was using before I was daily logging. So I was still writing the information in here, just in a different format. And then I think we got to here, and then I was like, I can't do it anymore. So I moved. Honestly, I love looking back at it. And I even moved from 1 page to 2 pages to give myself more space. I just didn't like the size. It just wasn't really working for me. And so even though I love looking back at it, it just didn't work. So I didn't want to waste this planner. Of course, I had to find another way to use it up. So then once my Life Archives journal was used up, my other one, I started to use this as the Life Archives journals. And so I kept it really simple. I just printed out really simple moments to put in here. But I've had a hard time keeping up with this, even though there's way less writing than the other planner, which was A5, which was great. One, printing the photos, but just like sitting down to print as well. And because they're such simple moments, I felt like I was losing the time and memory because I just wasn't printing it regularly enough. But so on the coattails of that, on how I felt updating this, I still have a lot to backlog, by the way. A lot. There's still a lot of the planner, but hopefully I can backlog before the end of the year and then I'm done with this planner. I just, as much as this planner is just so beautiful, it wasn't working for me. I was so excited to use this in 2024, but it just was not working for me. But obviously I still want to do Life Archives because I really love being able to print out photos, really simple photos from my camera roll. What I'm going to do, the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm going to combine it with the daily log, because I realized that the Life Archives, yes, there are some big moments, but most of the time it's really just my coffee. And sometimes I hold myself back from putting in a picture of my coffee because like it's the same thing every day. But sometimes the coffee and the lighting and my plants look especially good that day and I want to print a photo, but I don't really have anything to say about it. But if I combined it with the daily log, then I wouldn't feel as pressured to just print out a photo and insert that into just like what I'm writing about the day. And so I'm moving into the Stalogy because I figured I realized I don't really like dated. I do like the dated, but when I'm traveling or when I'm really busy and stressed and I just can't write much for that day, I don't want to feel like I've wasted a day. So I really like the undated nature of the Stalogy. It gives me a little bit more flexibility with that. But I've had this planner for a year now, over a year and a half now. I bought it last year in 2023, May, and I'm only just starting to use it now. I've held on to it for a very long time, but I'm still very excited to use it. I've already drafted up, these are just some stickers that I put in the front. I've already drafted up the layouts because obviously I'm very impatient, but it's going to be a very similar layout. I've drawn a faint kind of column here and I will just write, again, kind of like simple things like when I'm currently reading, if I finished reading something. I will write like major tasks in the column that I did, like I edited a video or I posted a video, and then just log the rest of the day. But because it's a lot smaller, I anticipate that I might need to spill onto the second page for some days, not all days, which is great because I have that flexibility. I'm not restricted. Like I'm still aiming to do a day per page, but I can kind of break my own rules on certain days if I need to. And even on the weekends, because I don't journal in my daily log as much on the weekends, I could even put the entire weekend on one page if I wanted to. And so by combining it with the Life Archives, I can just print a photo directly here and write about it, like right around it. I don't even have to reference the photo at all, but obviously it would reflect something about the day. Initially, I did want to keep it separate because I was like, daily log is just really simple moments and Life Archives are bigger life memories. But my experience with Life Archives over the past year is that it is still very simple memories. Yes, there will be some bigger moments, but that's fine. I can dedicate a whole page to just that photo if I wanted to, that particular event. So it's starting to make sense to me now. Oh, this is when I was trying like a half page column, but I don't think it works as well. But I'm really, really, really excited for this. So I will be starting this January 1st. I've already stuck a sticker down because I was too excited. This has been a long time coming. My workshop patrons will know that I've been talking about this planner for over a year now, but I'm really excited. And as much as I mentally struggled with the A5 planner. As much as I did struggle with this planner, in a way, I'm actually so grateful for it because it allowed me to experiment without feeling too precious about this planner, because I've had this planner for literally 5 years and never used it. And so I got to use up older stickers as well. I got to be really creative and play around with different layouts. Whereas if I started this in the Stalogy, it might have been a lot more pressure because I didn't want to mess anything up. But yeah, I just had a lot of fun. This is back in 2019, but I just had a lot of fun using stickers, seeing what worked. I just kept experimenting. Every day just felt like a new chance to experiment with different things. I will do a flip through of this eventually. There are a lot of pages, but I will do a flip through at the end of the year and talk about what I liked, different things that I tried. I eventually started writing it up there, which I really liked. But honestly, it's been a whole year of just experimentation with this daily log, and I feel like I'm now at a comfortable place where I know what I like. But even now, this is not what it's going to look like in the Stalogy, because I'm being a little bit extra in this daily log. I am using way more stickers than I normally would because it's the perfect chance to just go all out in a way that I wouldn't normally journal, because I have a lot of stickers and I'm really trying to use up older stickers so that I don't feel bad when I buy new ones. I just have way too many, even of my own stickers, and so I'm definitely using way more stickers than I normally do, but it's been kind of fun. I feel like I've been experimenting with different styles. But yeah, daily log in the Stalogy. I am so excited to be in this. But that is the third journal, and I am taking so long to get through this, but the fourth journal is the commonplace. I'm still using the same commonplace because I still have some pages left. Ideally, because I don't have too many pages left, ideally I use this up before the end of the year because I do have some backlogging to do. It's not really backlogging. I've just got a list of topics that I want to write about that I haven't had a chance to sit down and do because I've been backlogging in other things. But if not, that's fine. I can continue this into 2025 and start a new journal whenever. This one is not, necessarily needed. It doesn't need to be confined to 2024. It's just whatever. It's just my thoughts. So this has evolved quite a lot as well. But yeah, there's not too much I want to say about this because I will talk about that in the overview of my 2024 planners. But commonplace is still going. I still like it. So commonplace still going into 2025. I still really like it. I still feel a need for it in my life. But once I use this up, so this is a moleskin. I'm not sure what moleskin it is. It's a good size, but I think after I use this up, I will move into a TN grid insert, specifically the Baum Kuchen grid insert that I picked up in Japan, which I will show you now, and I've put it in my insert here. So I will talk about this next, but after I use this up, I'm going to move into this because I really like the lines, the tiny little grid, and I did mock up the column to see how I would like it because I don't really write too much in the margins. I just use it for dots. I do sometimes write stuff, but I don't need it to be so big that I'm writing a lot. I just like the look of it and the space for the dot stickers mostly. So it does actually work in here, and I just feel like this insert is so beautiful. I love To My Way River paper. I love this paper so much that I wanted to use this insert for something that that just feels a little special. So I am a little bit too precious with my commonplace, which you will hear about in a later video. But once I'm finished the moleskin, I will move into this insert. And again, because it's not really needed to be constrained to a particular year, I can be pretty casual with it. I'm not in a rush to try to finish it before the end of the year, but it would be nice so that I can move into this one. And I might do the same thing where I get a big label and stick it on there because I don't love that. I don't mind the TRP, I don't love the grid. Yeah, that's it for the commonplace. And then I'll go into the language journal, which is this. So I'm currently learning Japanese because I love Japan. I love the culture. I love the country. I've been there 3 times now and I'm going to keep going there. I love the stationery, but my husband also loves it for different reasons. He's very into the cars and card collecting as well. But I am also really keen on just learning languages in general. And the minute I started an actual language journal, it has completely changed my, like the speed of my language learning, because listening to audio just doesn't cut it for me. Rote learning doesn't cut it for me. I need to write it out in order to really remember it. So this is just a generic blank insert, and I still have a lot left in this. So I'm going to continue this, but once I finish this, I will move into a TN grid insert, just the standard grid insert. But yeah, those are the 2 inserts that are in my traveler's notebook. But that's it for the commonplace and the language journal. Not too many comments on that. They're both still going strong. I wanted the inserts in here to be kind of everyday-ish use. Often enough to justify having it in here. And I feel like the commonplace and the language journal are both, fun, special, but kind of serious, because my commonplace is a bit more researchy these days. Okay, so commonplace, language journal. I need to use this up first. And then we're going to move into the reading journal. This is not what you might expect from a reading journal. It's very boring, very plain, not the pretty reading journals. I am not going to journal about every single book that I read either. For me personally, I know that I just like to read for fun as well, which means there are a lot of books that do not deserve a page in this journal. Maybe not deserve, that's a bit harsh, but it's just not necessary. I'm just having fun. And so this reading journal is a A5 ring planner, and it's from Muji. I think it was pretty cheap. I think it was around $5. And the paper was like also really, really cheap. So I love ring planners. I actually started my planner journey in a ring planner, but I also love notebooks. So I still needed a ring planner in my lineup, but it needed to be practical. But there's supposed to be a photo here of the book, but I haven't printed it out yet. I just started this last week. And all I'm going to do mostly is write quotes. So this is kind of a commonplace. It's more of like a reading commonplace journal because I'm just documenting quotes, because me handwriting them, 1, will take too long, 2, won't be that legible. And so this is much nicer. Also 3, I get to use my typewriter. I forgot to mention, but I really wanted a reason to use my typewriter consistently. I do write random notes on there, but I really loved the idea of typing out book quotes with my typewriter. So nothing crazy with this planner, very simple. I just underlined the parts of the quote that I like the most. And because it's so much faster and it takes up so much less space to type it rather than handwrite it, I get to, choose multiple quotes. I'm not going to limit myself to a certain amount of pages per book. I actually haven't finished this book. I'm 60% of the way through, so I'm writing the quotes as I go, which I didn't expect to do. I thought I would do it afterwards, but it's been kind of nice to just type it out and reinforce the messaging. But it's also totally fine to backlog books because you get to reread the quotes like a month later if you forget them, like in that same detail. So again, I just started this, but I'm really excited to fill this up with books from 2025 and see how that goes. It'll be probably mostly non-fiction books because those tend to have a bit more quotes that I want to remember, but definitely some fiction books like Babel. There's so many quotes in there that I want to put in here. And yeah, this one's not so creative. This one, again, is more like a commonplace book where I just want to write down quotes that I want to remember and be able to look back on without needing to open up the ebook again, because again, I'm reading from my Kindle. But yeah, this is going to be my reading journal. Very simple. Nothing too pretty. It's not a pretty reading journal. It's just a very simple functional one, and I get to use my typewriter. The next journal is my notes / thoughts / healing journal. It's a book for everything. Again, it's just a book for a space to write extra thoughts during the day where, like, if I don't really want to expand on it in my daily log because I don't have that kind of space. This is just kind of like my diary almost, but not so personal. It's just kind of random thoughts that come up that I want to talk about, like want to remember, because a part of the healing process is that for me, self-care is very subtle and I don't always know, like I can't tell when my thoughts change, when I start to set better boundaries or start to have different thoughts on things. And so I wanted this to document, me taking a longer lunch break potentially, or reading at night, talking about random topics that I'm dwelling on, like friendships, working, maybe books and how I feel about it. I forgot to mention with the reading journal, I keep track of all of my books in Notion and I write my comments and reactions in there. So I don't necessarily need to type out my reactions in that planner. So that's more for quotes, because I prefer to do it digitally. But yeah, this is honestly nothing profound or interesting as well. Initially, I had all of this stuff in the commonplace journal, but I found that my personal thoughts were kind of overtaking the reference information, and it works for some people to have it together, but for me, my brain just likes to compartmentalize everything and I need it separate. And I didn't want random feelings like to interrupt my reference material, if that makes sense. I just think of it in terms of like flicking back through it. Will it make sense to have this amongst like a random article? That not necessarily. For some people, yes, absolutely. But for me, no. And so, yeah, it's nothing too crazy. Post-travel thoughts, the feeling like there's never enough time. I even planned out my techo kaigi in here. So it's meant to be very scribbly notes journal, wearing winter clothes on a summer morning, being in tune with my emotions, just random thoughts that come out. And I've actually really, really enjoyed this because I feel like sometimes I just have a random thought that doesn't belong in the daily log because I need to write so much about it. And I don't want to put it in the morning pages because morning pages is for specifically morning pages. And I might want to look back at this in the future because, again, it might be something that shows like how far I have come. So it's nice to look back on like my personal thoughts. What a thrill it is to be so boring. Honestly, they're kind of like mini essays for myself, very mini personal essays that I don't do anything with. It's just, again, very therapeutic to get my thoughts out. I had a lovely weekend. Like, honestly, how random is that? But it's been really nice. And so I have been using this since quite recently, actually. August, I think. August. So I started this in August. Didn't write too much. It's just there when I need to. There is no pressure with this journal. But on the side, I also was, like before I started this journal, actually, most of my thoughts were going in this planner with pages that was ripped out from an old journal, and I was using my typewriter. And I really liked the idea of using the typewriter to get these thoughts out, but there was a period of time where I was being too precious with it, and I felt myself delaying from typing on the typewriter because it felt so serious and final to sit down and type your thoughts on a typewriter when maybe I didn't have my thoughts fully gathered. I've gotten past that now, thankfully. And so sometimes it'll be random thoughts about my day, quiet days reading in the sun, or like a personal essay, what makes your vices better than mine. But this has been going really well, and I was kind of having a moment of like, what do I do? Because I like writing on the typewriter, but sometimes I like writing in here as well. There are some days when I prefer one or the other. And so I've come to settle on somewhat of a hybrid solution. So I only have a few pages left. I believe these are 6 pages left of this typewriter journal. And what I'm going to do once I finish these pages is use this journal, but use scrap paper, type on it like with the typewriter and stick it in. So I still get the experience of typing on the typewriter. Now that I'm going to use the typewriter for the reading journal, I don't feel as bad about not having a typewriter journal because I'm still using the typewriter for something else because I really want to. I really like the experience of incorporating the typewriter into my journal lineup. But I think yeah, I think a hybrid situation might work, but if it doesn't, I might go back to some sort of ring planner situation, but I still have all of these pages. And so I think I would love to commit to a hybrid solution for now. And that kind of satisfies my urges for like a junk journaling planner, because I don't really have a junk journal planner, not really. And so I get to use up scrap paper. I get to just be really rough with it. And because it's just my thoughts, I really don't want to be so serious about it. I really just want to get it out. When I have the thought, just type it out. And so it's really good writing practice as well. It's really good for helping me articulate my thoughts better. It's just an extension of morning pages, basically. And so, yeah, if you are a fan of just like writing, you just need a place to write. And that's basically what it is. So it's my notes / thoughts / healing journal. I've also called it like my incubator journal, because it's a place for thoughts and ideas to incubate before I do anything with them. It's just so I don't forget it. I write it in there. But even if I never look back on it, that's okay. I think once I use up this, because this is an old notebook, but it's moleskin, so it's not too bad. But again, hardcover, not my favorite. Once I use this up, I think I will move to a TN insert. I think that'll work really well as a hybrid kind of writing and typewriter journal. The next planner is my 2025 summary planner. Technically, this is blank because I need to set this up. So if you probably don't, but you may remember I set up a 2024 overview journal for this year, and I use it in my monthly resets. Honestly, it's been working pretty well. I also have a section to log all of the books. I just have the thumbnail of the book cover and a simple rating. I have a lot to backlog in here, but I also like review the month. I really hated the setup process of this, because drawing the lines, oh my god, if you can see, it just smudged everywhere. And I'm not a fan of like measuring out the page and drawing it. I don't like that process at all. So the DIY nature of this was cool as a concept in theory, but in practice I hated it. But I liked the concept of the planner. So what I'm going to do for 2025, because I have 3 of these books, I still have one more blank one, but I am going to, this is A5, I'm going to cut it down to a TN standard size, because I would like to keep this in my TN notebook. And what I'm going to do is print on it. So I've already designed the 2025 planner layout kind of based on this, almost exactly the same. I'm just changing a few things, but goals, intentions, all that is the same. So the concept is the same. I'm just refusing to draw it, draw all the lines and pages this time. So I'm going to unstaple this, print on the pages, and then bind it back together, but trimming it down so that I can put it in my TN cover and kind of always have that on me, because it's nice to refer back to like what your goals are, what your intentions are, your vision board, and update like your monthly things. So I don't have that ready yet because I have to print it, but I am planning on doing it after this video potentially. I will record that in a separate video and I will show you, like walk you through what I've done, but that is to come, because obviously that's going to be quite a task in itself. But that is the 2025 kind of overview summary planner journal. The last main kind of ongoing journal planner, sorry, I keep interchanging the words. So the last thing in my lineup that's kind of the consistent one is my 5-year diary. I forgot who makes this. I want to say it's Takahashi something. I could be totally making that up, but they actually sold this in person in Japan. Yes, sorry. I think it's, oh, here we go. I was right. Takahashi Shoten. So you can get this from Amazon Japan, which is what I did. They also have a 3-year diary, but I wanted the 5-year diary. This has just been, it's been lovely. It's been hard to backlog. I think everyone that owns a 5-year diary will tell you that. Like a sentence a day kind of diary. I have a little bit to backlog because, again, with travel and stressful days, it's just it's easy to fall off this, but honestly it doesn't take that long. So I pretty much just have like a month left to backlog, which is a month and a half, September and October. I've done a little bit of September, so a month and a half. But it really doesn't take long, and honestly, it's been so easy to backlog it because of the daily log. And if I don't have anything in my daily log, I look at my photos. It's been so easy. And I feel like I haven't gotten the experience of this yet, but when I restart this journal in 2025, I will get to read my entries for every single day. So this diary is just going to get better and better every single year. It's going to be so nice to see what the temperature is, for one, but also to see what I was doing that time last year. And I know for a fact that I'm going to be sharing these memories with, because I include a lot of memories with my husband as well. It's going to be so funny to be like, hey, 1 year ago we did this. So yeah, I try to include not only personal memories with my husband, but also business stuff, things that I was watching or listening to, kind of. That one I'm a little bit conflicted about because I don't have that much space. And so I'm not sure if I should put what I'm watching or reading, but I think it would be nice. I just got to figure out how to do it. And it just means I just don't write as much. Maybe there are some days when I don't have enough space and some days where I have way too much space and I have no idea what to write because nothing happened that day. But like, that's again the daily log, the appreciating of just really simple moments, because your life is made up of these really ordinary daily moments. And so yeah, I'm gonna keep going with this. I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be even better next year. But it's just so crazy to get to the end of the journal. I keep changing the name of it, but it's crazy to get to the end of this diary and to see there's just so little left. But that is the 5-year diary. It's quite special, and I think it's just going to get better and better and better. Like in the last year, it's going to be crazy to look back on it. But that is the 5-year diary. And then the last 2 things are kind of inconsistent things. So it's technically part of the lineup, but not the main lineup, if that makes sense. So the first thing is for traveling and for markets. I'm dropping everything. For traveling and for markets, I will use a lightweight insert, which is what I'm currently using. A lightweight tan insert uses Tomoe river paper, and I think it's so perfect for traveling. I love the crinkliness of it. I love how thin it is despite all the photos in there. I still have quite a lot to backlog for the Japan trip. But yeah, I will continue to use this. I've stocked up when I was in Japan, so I have plenty to use if I do travel in 2025, which I'm not planning on at this moment, but I am planning to do more markets. So I definitely will have a market journal, and if I do any kind of local travel within the country. So lightweight insert is just an occasional kind of when I need it, but it'll be in the same kind of lightweight insert. And the very last thing is, I put in brackets reluctantly. Oh my god, my table is just, all these notebook stashes are collapsing around me because I've just pushed everything to the side. So I talked about this in my 2024 techo kaigi. I think I was excited to use it. I can't remember. Honestly, it's been a nightmare. My workshop patrons will know this too. For one, the A5 is not working for me, and there's just so many pages. So I have two monthly notebooks left. One of them is for monthly highlights. It didn't start off that way. I thought I was just going to do some planning, but it ended up becoming monthly highlights, which is great. That's fine. It's just going to last me until January 2026, which is okay. Again, I will use daily log for this. It should be very simple. I just need to backlog. So I have only done up to March, not even March. So yeah, I've got a lot to do for 2024, but it shouldn't take too long. But my goal is to finish this before the end of the year. I've already kind of pre-decorated and, oh, I thought I wrote the dates. I guess not. But yeah, so I've got one more year in this and then I'm done. But for the second planner, I was like, there's no way I'm using this in 2026 and 2027. I'm not going through that again. So I'm going to use these side by side. I'm using them concurrently, but for different monthly reasons. So if you remember in my daily log, I showed you how I was kind of tracking the movies that I was watching. It's only movies where is it? Here. It's only movies currently. It's especially good for tracking like episodes of an anime that you're watching, or just episodes of a show. But I liked, okay, that one's not very pretty. Let me show you another one. I liked how it looked. No, I liked how it looked here because I don't usually track movies visually. I used to track it in Notion, and then I got over it because it was just too much work. I prefer tracking books in Notion. Movies, it's okay. But this way, I get to see kind of the movies and shows that I watched in the whole month. Visually, this is kind of boring. So what I was thinking of doing was printing out just a mini, either like screenshot. That might be cute because there's a lot of blank space. I might print out a mini screenshot or the movie, what do you call it? The movie poster. And that's what I'm going to use this Muji planner for, because once I finish this daily log, there's no monthly page in Nostalgia, so it's kind of perfect. Again, if I didn't have this monthly planner, I probably wouldn't be doing this, and maybe I'd do it digitally or something. It's not something I feel compelled to log, but honestly, I'm just trying to come up with fun ways to use up this planner, because I am not letting this planner go unused. I'm going to finish it this year. Well, okay, it's enough for 2 years, so really I'll be doing this in 2026 as well. But I think it'll be nice to log it here. What I'm going to experiment with in December, because I have one more month to try in here, is I'm going to, instead of drawing lines, I might highlight instead with the mild liner and write the movie on top of the highlighter, so that I have more space, like the writing doesn't take up the entire box. I haven't decided if I want to do books yet, because I think it'll get too cluttered if I'm doing books and movies. So right now I'm just planning to do movies, especially these boxes are a lot smaller. So, I mean, it'll evolve over time, but that's what I'm planning to do in this planner. I think it'll be kind of fun. I hope so, because I really want to use this up. But that's what I'm using for this Muji planner. So yeah, it's reluctantly kind of these two things are reluctantly a highlights and media journal. The good news is I was also using the Muji weekly planner in the same kind of format, and this is pretty much done. I only have a couple of pages left, thankfully, but I was pretty much doing that, where I was printing the screenshots or book titles and, writing some reviews in there. But then this is for that week, so I can flip through and see like what I need to backlog. I can see what I watched and what I read. So it's kind of nice as a summary, but it wasn't super fun for me. And again, it's redundant because I already have this information in Notion. The highlights side, hated it. So that didn't work. Monthly highlights are slightly better, so I don't feel like this is as bad. But this is what we're dealing with next year, and hopefully it's not a super painful thing to keep up with. It's not super fun, but I also know it's going to be super nice to look back on, to see all these highlights. And yeah, when these are finished, I probably won't continue this in another journal, so hence why this is the reluctantly kind of addition to my lineup. But that brings us to the end of my techo kaigi, and I'm going to do my best to bring everything back without I'm gonna leave out that's not exciting for me. I'm gonna leave that out. So the 5-year diary, then we've got the 2025 summary kind of planner, and then we've got my reading journal, and then my language journal, which is in the TN notebook. Commonplace is technically in there, but let's just put this one here because that's what I'm currently using. The daily log and life archives, the morning pages, and last but not least, my 2025 planner. Again, I know this is a lot, and I I don't think anyone will feel bad seeing this, but if you do feel bad that you're not using as many planners, not that you should at all, but I would like to remind you that a lot of the creators you see on YouTube, this is what they're creating content on. So it's kind of a dual purpose thing. And so don't feel the pressure to need 10 journals, 5 journals even. Just use the journals that you feel like, let what you feel you need guide the journals that you have. These were all very needs based for me. Like a lot of these won't make sense to you, but my brain is like, I need a place to put this. And so yes, I'm also very lucky to be able to have this many journals and have the time to keep up with them because I create journaling content for you. So it would be a very different story. I feel like I've mentioned this before. If I was not working in this industry, if I was not creating content for this, if I was working a completely different full-time job. So please don't feel the pressure to have this many journals. Also, it's not a bad thing. So don't judge people for having a lot of journals because you don't know their life situation. It should all be based on what your needs are. And so, yeah, this is my, let me zoom out a bit. This is my 2025 techo kaigi. I am so excited for this. I love how this looks. This is me. This is me. I love how simple it is, and I'm really excited that I get to start in this planner before the start of the new year, because I feel like I get a little bit of a fresh start before 2025. So it's a little sneaky start into my 2025 planner, but mainly my priority for December is to wrap things up to make it easier for myself in 2025. I do not want to be bringing any 2024 stuff that is dated kind of thing, like no backlogging. I do not want to be doing backlogging in 2025. So that is my goal. Again, I will go through my journals that I used in 2024 if you're interested in seeing that, and I will set up my 2025 overview / summary planner in a different video. But that is all the planners that I'm going to be using for 2025. I'd also love to know if your techo kaigi has changed quite a lot, or if it's staying pretty much the same, just a few changes here and there, and if you're adding any new planners to your lineup. But that is all from me. Thank you so much for watching if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully gave you some ideas and maybe some ideas to use up old journals. I will see you in the next video. Bye.